Listen, y'all, I had absolutely no plans to record today, but I had things to do, places to go, and sunshine waiting on me. But then I opened my email, and baby, let me tell you something. Some things could not wait. Let's talk about it.
Hey, loves. Welcome to A Touch of Love Talks podcast. I'm Lovey Baxter, family nurse practitioner, master's level social worker, and certified dementia practitioner. I'm so glad you're here. This is a safe space to talk about the challenges of taking care of your aging family member. I'm going to teach you how to protect your peace. Make sure you are informed and supported through this difficult journey. So you made it. You're in the right place at the right time to get the right information. Get comfortable, kick back, and let's dive in.
Hey, loves. Welcome back to A Touch of Love Talks, the podcast where you're in the right place at the right time to get the right information. OMG. Like I said, y'all did not want me to be outside today because whoever wrote in this email, and I do know your name, but hey, that's not important right now. I get it. I received an email from someone asking me a question, and I thought, you know what? If one person is asking this question, there are probably hundreds of families wondering the exact same thing. So I grabbed my microphone, came on over to the studio because we need to talk about it. This one right here is going to be something that you need to sit down, you need to get your paper and pencil out. You know I'm not going to lead you wrong. And you need to take note, okay? So listen, I'm not going to hold you long. I know I got a lot of letters behind my name, but let's be clear. ESQ is not one of them. I am not an attorney, okay? Howsoever, I'm sharing general information based on situations that commonly come up in healthcare, but every state has their own different laws. So if you're dealing with your own family situation, please talk with an attorney licensed in your state. Because what you're not going to do is come over here saying, Lovey said this, Lovey said that. Hey, I'm just trying to warn the masses, okay? Okay, so let's get into this email. And like I said, I'm going to kind of paraphrase it because I was not prepared to record today. Let me say it kind of went like this. Lovey, my dad is married to my stepmom. He became very sick, and now she's making all the medical decisions. My brother and sisters are upset because she's shutting everybody out. So who actually gets to decide? Yes, sir. We back in the group chat. That's a loaded question. However, if I had $1 for every version of this story that I've heard, I'd be at the lake right now. I'm just trying to say. I'd be on the lake, would it be lake house, whatever. But in this economy, here I am right now. And I'm happy to answer this question for y'all. But no, but seriously, this happens way more often than people realize, okay? This topic comes up a lot. So let's walk through it together so everybody knows their place on the bus, because y'all know what I say. Be in the right place on the bus so that everybody can get the care that they desire. So let me paint the picture. It's Tuesday afternoon, the phone rings, and you get the call saying your mom or your dad has had a massive stroke. So within minutes, you got the oldest son leaving work, headed to the hospital, okay? Let's say you got the daughter jumping in her car, trying to get there, okay? We got to have somebody out of state flying in, okay? But nobody's thinking about legal documents at that point, right? Nobody's thinking about who gets to make the decision. They're trying to figure out, is dad or is mom okay? They're just trying to get there. Now, when they finally get to the hospital, let's just say they walk into the ICU, and sitting beside good old dad, let me try to figure out what name. Let's call her Becky. good old Becky, his wife. Not their mom, but Becky, his wife. So, what is Miss Becky doing? She's holding his hand. She's rubbing his arm. Of course, she's crying. Um, I'm a lady of faith, so let's just say she's praying. She's scared. Everybody's scared. The room is quiet. Nobody is doing a lot of movement or talking. Nobody says hello. Nobody hugs. It's just real cold, and we're just showing up because we got to be there, right? Nobody asks if she's okay. But instead, that oldest son, let's say he leans over to his sister and he says, she's already trying to take over. Now, let me stop right there. Isn't it amazing how quickly fear can turn into suspicion? Nobody knows all the conversations good old Becky and Dad had over the last 12 years that they've been married. Nobody knows what promises they've made to each other. They're married. They're married. Nobody knows what plans they've made. But because emotions are high, people start making assumptions. Now, let's say the plot thickens. The physician walks into the room. He explains, I'm sorry, your dad has had a significant stroke. He's stable, but right now, he isn't able to make his own medical decisions. Then someone asks the question, okay, so who gets to decide? And just like that, here we go. Here we go. The entire room changes. The oldest son, yeah, he's on one. He says, well, I'm the son. I've known him my whole life. Duh, he's your dad. But anyway, let me stay focused. Then you got the daughter. Here she comes. Dad told me he would never want to live like this. Then you got good old Becky quietly saying, he and I talked about this years ago. Yeah, all the eyes are shifting in the room. So immediately someone responds, well, we don't believe you. The drama. Can we just be honest for a minute, though? Can we just be honest? Have you ever noticed that when someone gets critically ill, everybody starts suddenly remembering this conversation they had with mom or dad back a couple of months ago or back when? Well, daddy told me this. Mom told me she wanted that. Whatever. Mom always said this. Dad always said that. She promised me this. I mean, it can go on and on. And I'm not saying that they didn't, but it just is funny how it always works that way. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it did. We don't know. But now everybody has a different version of what mom or dad wanted. And that's exactly why these situations become so difficult. Now, let me ask you something. If you walked into that room, whose side you gonna be on? Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Whose side are you on? Would you automatically side with the children? Because after all, that's their dad. Would you side with the spouse? Because, hey, he put a ring on it. Oh, wait, my ring finger. Or would you honestly have no idea what to do? And that's why I wanted to record this episode. That's why I'm not at the lake right now, y'all, because I'm trying to help y'all. I'm trying to help y'all because this isn't really about choosing sides. It's about understanding what generally happens when life throws families into crises. And here's one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear. People assume that because they're the oldest, and shout out to the babies in the family, hey, but they assume because they're the oldest, or because they've been taking mom or dad to the appointment, or because they help pay the bills, or because they live the closest, that automatically makes them the decision maker. Nope, it doesn't. Not necessarily. Being the one who loves them the most doesn't automatically make you the one who gets to decide. Now, hear me carefully. Hear me carefully because I don't want y'all coming for me. Don't come for me. If dad is awake, alert, and able to understand what's happening, he's able to make his own health care decisions. He is the one who decides everything. Everything. That's it. Point blank, period. Nobody else. Not the spouse, not the children, not the siblings. None of you all get to overrule a capable adult. Now, the difficult conversation begins when someone can no longer make those decisions for themselves, hence why we're here today and not at the beach. That's when people start asking, well, who is in charge? Y'all remember that show, Charlie's in Charge, or something like that? But anyway, I digress. So, anyway, that's exactly where we're going next. So, let's answer the question that everybody wants answered. Who gets to decide? And here's my favorite answer. It depends. I know, y'all. I know. There is never in healthcare a definitive answer. Y'all are probably saying, Lovey, that's why they emailed you. We don't want no it depends, but that's the truth. Y'all know I'm never going to lie to y'all. I'm never going to lie to you. I'm never going to lead you astray. But it does. It depends on several things. Several. That's how my grandmother used to say it. Several instead of just saying several. But anyway, so can mom or dad still make their own decisions? We talked about that. If that's the case, then hey, nobody else matters, okay? As long as they're able to understand what's going on, make informed healthcare decisions, those are their decisions to make. Now, let's muddy the water a little bit because, after all, it's healthcare, right? Let's say dad can't make his own decisions anymore, which is where we are in this email that I got. And this is where I always tell families slow down. Don't start arguing yet. Let's start asking some questions. The first question should be, did dad complete a MPOA? What is that, Lovey? Medical power of attorney. It's a form. If the answer is yes, then read it. Read the MPOA. Read it. Find out who dad chose. Because here's something people don't always think about. Sometimes the spouse isn't the one named. Sometimes it is the oldest child. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the youngest. Shout out to the youngest because that's what we do. We handle all kind of stuff. Y'all don't even know everything that we do because the babies of the family are the best. I'm just saying. But sometimes it could be the brother or a lifelong friend. My point is, it's mom or dad's decision who they trust to speak for them if they can no longer speak for themselves. The person making the decision may not be the person you expected because it was never their decision to make. Now, let's say that there isn't a MPOA. That's when many states, including my beautiful state of Texas, have laws that determine who make the healthcare decisions if no one who has been appointed at the time when it's needed. So often a spouse is given priority, Becky, but not always. Not every situation will it be the spouse. That's why I don't like giving blanket answers because life be lifing, and life is not a blanket. Families are not blankets, right? And the law certainly isn't a blanket. So let's pause here. Here's another misunderstanding I hear all the time. Well, I have dad's will. Okay, that's great. But let's talk about that too. A will generally tells people what you want done after you die. Things like who receives the property, who handles your estate, who gets the boat and all the toys for the sea and the ocean. Sorry. Y'all see where my mind is. Those are two different things. It doesn't tell you about stuff that's happening right now. It usually does not determine who makes your health care decisions while you're still alive. Usually, because those are two different things. Okay? So remember this, a will usually speaks after death. A medical power of attorney speaks while you're still living. Y'all, those are not the same conversations. Here's another one. I often hear this one. Well, I'm the executor. Wonderful. Sit down somewhere. That role is incredibly important, but being named as the executor of someone's estate generally does not give you authority to make medical decisions while they're alive. So see how easy it is for families to mix all these documents together? Then there's always somebody who says, well, I'm on mom's checking account. You gotta love the people that always go to the money. I love them. Follow the coins, follow the coins. But okay, that may help when creditors are trying to get their coins and people are trying to get bills paid, but it doesn't automatically make you the healthcare decision maker. You may have somebody else that says, "Well, I took dad to every doctor's appointment." Go get them a trophy, get them a certificate, get them whatever they're wanting. That's wonderful. But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Does it show love? Absolutely. And we appreciate you for that. It shows commitment. It shows that you will be in there for the grind. But it doesn't automatically give you legal authority either. Yeah, I told y'all I had to come off the lake to talk about this because it can get very complicated. Everybody is coming into the hospital carrying a different piece of the puzzle, thinking they have the whole picture, but you got a piece. Now, it'd be nice if y'all could put all the pieces together and work, cohesively. But helping someone and having the legal authority to speak for them are not always the same thing. Now, let's go back to good old Becky, because y'all know she is sitting there quietly waiting. She knew this was coming. She is ready for you all. She's still sitting by the bedside. Let's say she stopped crying, okay, because she's done with that. Um, let's say the children are still upset. Now the doctor's come and gone, so now the nurse has walked in. Well, we got a problem because now the doctor's walking in behind her. Everybody starts talking in the room. Nobody's listening because they're all having their own individual conversation. And can I just stop and say what breaks my heart about these types of situations is sometimes that person lying in that bed becomes the quietest person in the room. Everything becomes about who's right or who's wrong, who's winning, who's losing, instead of what would mom or dad want if he or she could tell us themselves. That's the question. And that's the question that changes everything. Because suddenly the conversation isn't about me or you or even my good old girl, Becky. It has nothing to do with that. Not the oldest son, not the daughter, nobody. It goes back to being about the one person it should be about, which is mom or dad. And isn't that who this should all be about anyway? But we get lost, y'all. We get so lost in all the other stuff. The goal isn't to win the argument. The goal should be to honor the person lying in the bed. Okay, so there's one more thing that I want to point out when I'm thinking about this email that I got. And I think this may be the most important part of, everything that I'm talking about today. Because if you're listening to me right now and you're healthy, you have an opportunity that dad in the email no longer has. You still have a voice. And I'm going to tell you that's so important. So I want to leave you with something that I hope sticks with you long after this episode is over. You got to listen to me today because if you can still make a decision, that's what you need to do. You have a voice. So you need to use it. Don't assume your spouse knows what you want. Don't assume your children know what you want, your friends, your family. And please, 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 don't assume they'll all magically agree when emotions are high because they won't. Most families will not. Y'all, I deal with this every day, all day long. Families can be wonderful. Trust me, y'all know I'm a family person. But families can also be very complicated. Some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about because you're probably the one starting the drama. So let's ask a couple of questions. If something happened to you tomorrow, who would you trust to make the medical decision for you? Would that person know what you want? Have you actually told them, written it down? Or are you hoping they'll just magically figure it out? Because hope is not a healthcare plan. Hope is not a legal document. And hope doesn't answer questions in the ICU waiting room. Hope is a beautiful thing, but it's a terrible estate plan. Here's another question. If you chose your spouse, have you told your children why? If you chose one of your children, have you explained it to Becky? Sometimes the hardest conversations today prevent the biggest arguments tomorrow. And here's something I want every adult child to hear. Just because your parent chose someone else to make the decisions doesn't mean that they loved you less. Come on, y'all. Let me say that one more time. Just because mom or dad chose one of your other siblings doesn't mean that they loved you less. Sometimes they choose the person they believe could stay calm under pressure. Sometimes they choose the person who knows their wishes best. Sometimes they choose a person that lives is with them every single day. Don't take it as rejection, y'all. Listen, the person your parent trusted to make the decisions isn't always the child they love the most. It just isn't. Now let's talk to the spouses for just a minute. All the Beckys out there, the Bobs, whoever you are. If you're the one making the decision, remember something. Those children are watching their parent decline. Some of them are scared. Some of them are grieving before their parent has even passed away. If it's appropriate and you're able to include them in conversations, let them ask questions. Let them sit at the bedside. Let them feel heard. Being the decision maker doesn't always mean making every decision alone. And sometimes the greatest leadership is bringing people together. And to the adult children, y'all, give Becky some grace.
You don't know every conversation they've had over breakfast, late night discussions. You don't even know the promises that they made at doctor's appointments, okay? You weren't there. That doesn't mean that they're always right, but it also doesn't mean they're automatically wrong. Give each other the benefit of the doubt without assuming the worst, because once words are spoken, you can't take them back. And once relationships are broken, sometimes they never fully heal. Don't let the last chapter of your parents' life become the first chapter of your family's division. So I want to leave y'all with a little homework because I'm finna go to the lake. Listen, call your parents. If you are the parent, call your children. Have these difficult conversations. Ask the questions. If something happens to me, who knows what I want? Who knows what I want you to do? Have you decided who's going to be your medical power of attorney? Who's going to know where the documents are? Do you want CPR, hospice, home health care, end of life support? Those conversations aren't easy, but they're the ones, the greatest gifts you can leave your family. That's what it is. Because clarity is a gift. Peace is a gift. Preparation is the best gift. Confusion, that ain't it, y'all. The greatest gift you can leave your family isn't an inheritance. It's clear instructions because when your wishes are known, your family gets to spend less time arguing and more time loving on you. All right, y'all. I hope this conversation helped. I hope the person that wrote this email got the answers they were looking for. Share this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your parents, call your neighbors, call your friends, call everybody. This is a conversation every family needs to have. I don't care where you are. It's not too early and hopefully it's not too late. That's all I got. Bye. All right, loves, that's it for now. If this conversation helped you in any way, then go ahead and subscribe so you can stay connected. And don't forget to hit that bell so you can be in the right place at the right time to get the right information. Hey, until next time, protect your peace and advocate for the one you love.